Shalom. First and foremost, Kwa Halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Kwakadash. Double honors to the Apostle of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Yakim out there in the highways and byways, knows in this road abroad, all around the world through the spirit and power of our Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So here you have it is, war that's going on, in the land of Israel, between Gaza, Hamas, and these so-called Jews, which they like to call themselves Israelis, which they're not the true people of the Lord. They're not the people of the Lord that walked across the Red Sea during the time of the Moses of the Egyptian captivity. And the people over there, they know this, especially the people, especially Ishmael, the people over there. In the Middle East, they know that these people, these so-called Jews, Amalek, that they're not the true people of the Lord, and pretty much the people over there in the Middle East, they know that, so, but the thing is, they're fighting for a land that's neither theirs, because, even though you do have some, Israelites that are amongst them, for the most part, but ultimately, these so-called Jews and and Ishmael, they don't belong in that land, So, pretty much, let me just read the article here. It's from the New York Times. It says, more than 30 dead in Gaza and Israel as fighting quickly escalates. And it reads, Hamas fires rockets at Israeli cities. Israel hits Gaza with airstrikes. Civilians suffer the most casualties, but leaders on each side may reap political benefits. So Eshlak Israel. The worst fighting between Israelis and Palestinians in 7 years intensifies on Tuesday night as Israeli airstrikes began targeting Hamas's offices in Gaza cities, and militants in Gaza fires rockets at the metropolitans of Tel Aviv, the southern city of Ashkelon, and Israel's main airport. Yeah, because, ultimately there's no peace for these so-called Jews at the end of the day. And this just proves that these are not the true people of the Lord, because scripture says otherwise. Scripture says that when the true people of the Lord goes back into the land, along with our Lord, Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, there's not going to be any war or any conflict. It's just going to be total peace. But this just proves that this is not the people, because there is no peace. There is no peace in the world. Everywhere you turn on the TV, everywhere people are suffering, people are mourning, people are uprising. People are protesting. People are getting killed, people are getting shot, dying. So there is no peace, because these devils here, they're ruling, Amalek, in particular Amalek, Esau, Edom, they're ruling the earth, and they're the wicked that the Bible speaks of, So in Gaza, at least 30 Palestinians, including 10 children, have been killed by Tuesday night, and 230 otherwise were wounded, according to health officials in Israel. 3 people were killed in strikes on Tel Aviv and seaside cities of Ashkelon, and at least 100 were wounded, according to medical officials. Away from the militant conflict, a wave of civil unrest spreads across Arab neighbors As Palestinians, citizens of Israel, express fury at the killing in Gaza and long-standing complaints and discrimination inside Israel itself. And these protesters is taking you have conflict between these so-called Jews and these Arabs over there in New York. A brother just posted a video, that protesting, in New York against these, so-called Jews. There's conflict over there, against for all of this, But this just proves that, there is no peace there is no peace, unto the wicked, So let me just get the precepts real quick. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 48, verse 22. And it reads, "There is no peace, saith the Lord, for the wicked." You see? So the scripture says there is no peace, saith the Lord, for the wicked. So as long as those so-called Jews are in power, there's not going to be no peace for them. There's not going to be any peace. Because these people, Esau, he loves war, he's all about bloodshed, he's all about shedding blood and killing people. That's his MO, so there's not going to be no peace for him. Even though he says he wants peace, he wants to have peace. But at the end of the day, the curse on him is that there is not going to be no peace. Because this is what he does. He loves to shed blood. He loves to kill. That's his blessing, the sword. Which he is that red horse that that it speaks about in the book of Revelations. And that red horse took peace from the earth. And that's Esau, Edom. They take peace from the earth. This is why they have war and conflict. This is why people are uprising against them. People are coming up against them. And like I said earlier in this video, this just further proves that they're not the people of the Lord. Because the scripture says here, Scripture says here in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 2. And it says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days, which we're in the last days right now. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mount of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above all the hills, and nations shall flow unto it." So scripture says that nations shall flow onto it, flow onto the nation of Israel once the true people are in power. But ain't no nations over there flowing onto the ain't no nations over there flowing onto the to the land of Israel, to those people, those gutter rats there. They're all about war. They're all about killing. So no nations is flowing onto them. All right, verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountains of the Lord, to the house of the Most High of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his path. Out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. You know, the law is not going forth out of that land of Israel. They're not even keeping the law. You know, here it is, they have kosher pig. They have the biggest gay parade on the face of the planet, you know, in the land of Israel, in Tel Aviv, where those rockets are being fired at, you know. That's judgment of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you know. You know, that's the judgment of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So the law isn't going forth out of that land. You know, they're not pushing the law, you know. And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, you know, and Jerusalem was over there in Israel, you know. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks, you know. So they're going to drop their swords, their weapons, and they're going to use farm tools again. They're going to be farming, you know. They're going to be cultivating land. You know, that's what it's going to go back to once, you know, the true people of the Lord comes back to that land. And here's the point. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn of war anymore. You see? Scripture says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn of war anymore. So there's not going to be no war when the true people are in that land. You know? There's not going to be no conflicts in the earth, uprisings of people in the earth. Once the Lord comes and brings the true people, which are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native and Seminole Indians, back to the land, you know, the elect of them, you know, and the 1/3. Once we get into that land, once we settle into our homeland again, you know, we're not going to have no war. It's just going to be total peace in the earth. But what you have in the earth right now is nothing but war and chaos and destruction and uprising of the people. This is why this earth and the people are crying out for a new rulership, you know, for righteousness, you know. The earth is crying out for righteousness, for a new rulership, you know. This is why Yahweh Shai is going to come and bring that and bring righteousness upon the earth and total peace upon the earth once he puts Esau down and these other nations down, you know. So pretty soon this is what's coming, and the signs are already in place, and we're watching for these signs, and it's here, you know. So with that, you know, all praises and glories to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakwakadash, double honors to the apostle of the great millstone, shalom to the Yakim out there on the highways and byways.